So you lifted your truck and now it rides like a rock or a brick. Well, if you look at this spring here, this is on my Excursion, which is a 8-inch lift. And that spring is 8 leaves thick. Now the stock spring was only 2 leaves on these Excursions. So obviously after you put 8 leaves on there, it's going to be riding really rough. And the reason of course they do that is the leaves themselves add thickness. Now there's actually a product on Amazon that's like a 3-inch lift kit, and what it does is it basically adds very small short leaves so that you don't actually have a block, but you just have a small leaf set, and then it would go underneath of your typical 2 leaves that you have in your stock setup. So rather than do that, since I already have these leaves, I actually just ground them with my grinder, and you see these are much shorter now. So these are actually going to function just like a mini leaf kit. I took the bottom 4 leaves off. That goes all the way to the keeper here. So now there's only 4. You've got all this open space. Every leaf that you add onto the bottom makes it stiffer and stiffer and stiffer because it changes the leverage that the springs are operating under. So I'll make another quick video after I do the other side as well, and let you know how the ride turned out. I anticipated being a lot softer. Now my stock shocks, you can see on there, if you look underneath of them, there was actually only like 2 or 3 inches of suspension traveling happening, and that's why it rides like a brick. So hopefully with these shorter leaves that I just made, cutting the bottom 4, it's going to make a big difference in ride quality. Just a note, in order to get close enough to the center to make these leaves short enough to make a decent difference, I did have to remove the U-bolts right here and the bracket that holds the sway bar on, so just be aware of that. All right, I got everything back together. Test drove it. Drives well, by the way. Those springs being significantly shorter makes a big difference on the ride. I don't know how to quantify it as a percentage or anything like that, but what I can say is when I used to run over a pothole, I'd be like, ugh! Now it's just like a normal bump in a normal firm suspension vehicle. You see those 4 bottom leaves look like the mini leaves that you can buy for lift kits now. There's a good picture of it right there. Much better ride. I would say I lost about a 1/2 inch of my lift, which I didn't need anyway. And I actually wanted to back slightly higher because I like the truck to have a little bit of rake. But this seemed to have taken care of that issue. I also wanted to mention that I did lose that 1/2 inch, which wasn't a problem for me because I've got plenty of lift for this size tires. If you wanted the softer suspension, you were thinking about doing this, but you didn't want to lose that 1/2 inch of lift, what you can do is you can just go to a metal place and buy a 1/2 inch plate like this. It's 3 inches wide and a 1/2 inch thick, and then you have a hole drilled in the middle, and then you just take this spring stack apart and put a new bolt in together, and that way you'd still have the same lift height, but you'd have a lot softer ride.